Good afternoon. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Incline Dodgers podcast. We are presented by FanDuel, TickPick, and BLEAV. This is Kevin Klein riding solo on a Saturday afternoon. We've got NFL divisional playoffs coming around the corner, so I know probably a lot of you are excited for those games. Bills, Broncos, 49ers, Seahawks. I will be waiting for tomorrow with my Rams taking on the Chicago Bears. For those watching on YouTube or listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. All your subscriptions will go a long way for the show. Drop your questions below, drop comments, give us all of that. We're going to talk about your Los Angeles Dodgers and what they've been up to since the Kyle Tucker news. So let's get into kind of what the final offers were. I know we were waiting for this. It came down to the Dodgers. It came down to the Blue Jays. It came down to the New York Mets. And, of course, your Los Angeles Dodgers were the best bidder and won the services of Kyle Tucker. So let's talk about what these final offers were. So John Heyman reported that the Blue Jays offered a 10-year, $350 million contract for Kyle Tucker. Of the three teams, the New York Mets had the weakest offer, 4 years, $220 million, and the Dodgers with the best deal that he took, 4 years, $240 million. I'm still surprised at the offer the Dodgers ultimately offered for Kyle Tucker. It's insane. Average annual value, $60 million a year. We for sure get Kyle Tucker for at least 2 seasons because he can opt out after the second season, and then he can opt out again after the third year. So we know for sure Kyle Tucker will be at least a Dodger for 2 years. And this Dodgers lineup, again, the lineup is so lengthy. I don't even think we can really truly understand what the 1 through 9 is going to look like right now. Some people think Freddie Freeman is still going to hit in front of Kyle Tucker, maybe batting third. I think Kyle Tucker is probably going to bat somewhere between second or third. I don't think they would have him batting fifth, at least for the vast majority of the season. And we'll dive into all that, but want to make sure you guys get your questions and comments in there. I already see people popping in. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate all you. Kyle Tucker choosing the Dodgers. So first I want to just analyze the 2 offers. So the Blue Jays gave him that 10-year, $350 million contract deal. And honestly, I thought that was exactly what someone like Kyle Tucker would be looking for. You're locked in. You're making $35 million a year for the next 10 years, no matter what. But then the Dodgers doing what they do, complete blindside, lurking in the shadows like it was reported. No word what they were going to offer Kyle Tucker. While the Mets was super transparent, the $50 million a year, Steve Cohen tweeting about calling for the smoke, being the nuisance that he is. And out of nowhere, we hear Kyle Tucker agrees to a 4-year, $240 million deal with the Dodgers. So if he opts out after that second year with the Dodgers, he's already basically locked up $120 million. So you take $350 million, subtract $120 million, and essentially, if he goes back into the market, he's got to find about $220 million, or sorry, $230 million. That's the difference he needs to make up. So if he lands a contract with a team and gets a guarantee of at least $230 million or more, then he won. So love that for both sides. This was how the Dodgers were always going to operate. They wanted that high AAV, short-term commitment. And yes, I see Honey Oat saying people are so angry. Yes, the fan bases outside of the Dodgers, of course, they're fuming right now. I don't know if they have a right to be mad, but I will say I feel awful in a sense for Blue Jays fans. I tweeted it a couple nights ago, and then it just randomly went viral. And let me read you this. So I got a lot of thoughts too. So it's going to be a good show. I got a lot to say. Let's see if I can find this real quick. Here it is. I saw people snapping this and putting it on Instagram too. So that was really interesting. It's got 5,600 likes, 374 bookmarks. The Blue Jays thought they signed Shohei Otani. JP Hornstra and John Morosi said Shohei Otani was on a plane. Dodgers Nation and JP Hornstra flat out said Shohei Otani agreed and was going to the Toronto Blue Jays. The Dodgers won. The Blue Jays prioritized trying to sign Roki Sasaki. They traded players away. They were trying to free up international cap space. Again, the Dodgers won. The Blue Jays thought they won the 2025 World Series last season. They were 2 outs away from winning the World Series. And guess what? The Dodgers won. Miguel Rojas took Jeff Hoffman deep and broke their dreams. And now, this year, just a couple days ago, the Blue Jays thought they signed Kyle Tucker, and the Dodgers won once again. Absolutely just brutal. So we've got some questions already. Rocky Rivera 5, Kevin Klein, what do you do for a living outside of this podcast? I work in financial planning. Justin Yamas believes that the Blue Jays needed to offer around a 10-year, $470 million contract for him to spurn ours. Otherwise, he'd just be taking $110 million to go to Toronto. Very fair point. Honey Oats, Kyle Tucker is a winner, unlike that loser, Mike Trout. I still don't understand why Mike Trout is holding himself hostage with the Angels. They're going to do nothing but lose. And Mike Trout will probably never win a World Series, at least as long as he's with the Angels. But nonetheless, let's get into what Kyle Tucker and the Dodgers now, the next steps are. We're going to wait for that press conference. I have to imagine that'll be over the next few days. Maybe it's on Monday or Tuesday. And that's when we get the juice. So I can't wait to hear what Kyle Tucker has to say. Predictions right now for what number he would wear for the Dodgers. Let's see. If 33 is available, that's my guess. I would guess Kyle Tucker is going to wear the number 33 for the Dodgers. I know James Outman wore it, I guess, most recently. I think Kyle Tucker will probably wear 33 for the Dodgers, if I had to guess. Number 0 also could be another number I could see. Otherwise, what else is going on in the offseason? So the last 48 hours were just absolutely wild. You had Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers. You had Bo Bichette out of nowhere going to the New York Mets. You got JT Realmuto going back to the Philadelphia Phillies. Ranger Suarez agreed to a big contract with the Boston Red Sox. And now we are hearing that the Dodgers are still linked to Freddy Peralta. I don't think the Dodgers are going to trade for Freddy Peralta. Unless they've got some master scheme up their sleeves, it's really hard for me to find any room for Freddy Peralta on the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're not giving up Emmett Sheehan. You're not giving up River Ryan. You're probably not giving up Gavin Stone for any of those guys for Freddy Peralta. Peralta is going to be a free agent after the year. So if the Los Angeles Dodgers were to ask for Freddy Peralta in return, I would have to imagine the Dodgers would then flip Freddy Peralta to maybe another team like Baltimore and try to get some prospects back. Because I just don't know where Freddy Peralta would fit in the Dodgers rotation, all things considered. I think 1 through 6 is a lock. It's going to be Yamamoto opening day, and then they might be strategic how they structure it. But in theory, Blake Snell's your number 2. Tyler Glasnow's your number 3. Shohei Otani is your number 4. And then Emmett Sheehan and Roki Sasaki will be your 5 and 6. Sasaki is going to get as much of a leash as possible because this is what he signed up when he came to Los Angeles Dodgers. Roki Sasaki wants to be the best possible starting pitcher that he can be, and the Dodgers want Roki Sasaki to be an elite starting pitcher. So going into the next season, you can lock Sasaki in. Emmett Sheehan, Showed so many brilliant flashes in his first year back from Tommy John surgery. On most teams, I think you could make a compelling case that Emmett Sheehan's their number 2 or number 3 starter. On the Los Angeles Dodgers, he just happens to be a 5 or a 6. But Emmett Sheehan is a really good, talented pitcher, and he's going to have a huge role for the Dodgers this upcoming season. Is Emmett Sheehan better than Dylan Cease, though? At this moment in time, probably not. But long-term, there's a very, very strong likelihood that Emmett Sheehan, over the next 5-year sample size, has a better duration than Dylan Cease. That would not shock me at all. I think Emmett Sheehan's a super talented pitcher. There's a reason that they're holding on to him like for dear life. They moved on from Ryan Pepio to get Tyler Glasnow. They would not part with Emmett Sheehan in other trade rumors that were floating out there. Like, for example, the New York Mets were willing to trade Justin Verlander, but when they talked to the Dodgers, they wanted Emmett Sheehan in return for Justin Verlander. The Dodgers said, absolutely not. Get the F out of my face. And ultimately, Justin Verlander was then sent to the Houston Astros. Yangi pointing out it'll be interesting what roles that Stone and River Ryan will have in the beginning of the season for the Dodgers, assuming everyone is healthy. There are going to be injuries. Glasnow for sure will go on the IL. He'll probably miss 2 months or 3 months. I'm sure Blake Snell will spend some time on the injured list. Roki Sasaki, they've got to keep his innings down, so he won't be going 150-plus innings. I think if Roki Sasaki gives us 100 innings, I'll call that a success as a starting pitcher. So there's going to be injuries. There's going to be ways to incorporate these other guys, like a River Ryan, for example. So River Ryan most likely to start the season, assuming with health. River Ryan will start either on the injured list or in AAA. One of those two will be the most likeliest outcomes. They don't need to have him on this opening day roster. He doesn't need to be pitching in March or early April, to be quite frank. For River Ryan, it's a slow play, and you can just build him up. And then it'll be interesting to know what kind of role he has. Gavin Stone, another example, missed all of last season with the shoulder surgery. Again, probably will start the year in AAA. And then if his services are needed, they'll call him up, and I'm sure he'll get an exorbitant amount of innings as well. So I'm not too worried. Just because the Dodgers have a 6-man rotation, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in there. Injuries will happen. Load management will happen. There are going to be plenty of mouths to feed. So they'll make this work. No doubt in my mind. So on the Bo Bichette front, with him going to the New York Mets, he signed a massive short-term high AAV deal as well. He was about to agree to go to the Philadelphia Phillies. It was like a 7-year, $200 million contract. The Phillies thought they got their guy. I think we all thought Bo Bichette was going to the Phillies. And then Steve Cohen and company came out of nowhere. A Godfather offer for Bo Bichette. I think it was like 3 years, $126 million. So you're talking about over $40 million a year for a guy like Bo Bichette, who's a really good hitter. But Bo Bichette on the New York Mets is kind of a weird fit. Bichette will at least be playing third base for the Mets next season because they've got Lindor at shortstop. They traded for Marcus Semien. So your infield is pretty set. Jorge Polanco and Mark Vientos, at least right now, they'll be splitting time at first base. And the Mets, it felt like a panic signing, to be honest. I think they need a lot of help in the outfield. They need some help on the starting pitching side as well. And instead, they just wanted to get a guy because that's what the New York Mets do. They don't necessarily make rational thoughts when they throw these huge contracts out there. So they let Pete Alonso walk, but then they signed Bo Bichette. Interesting pivot, in my opinion. The Mets are a really weird constructed roster. With JT Realmuto then, with that, so JT Realmuto goes back to the Phillies. I think 3 years, $45 million total. Perfectly fine with that for a starting catcher. So it makes sense for the Phillies. But, yeah, the National League is juicing up. The winners and losers right now, I got 3 winners of the offseason up to this point. I've got 3 losers. The biggest winner is obviously the Los Angeles Dodgers. They signed the best closer available and arguably the best closer in baseball, Edwin Diaz. They just signed the best outfielder, the best maybe the second best hitter, if Kyle Schwarber you want to say is the best hitter. They signed the second best hitter. They signed the best outfielder, Kyle Tucker. So we got Edwin Diaz. We got Kyle Tucker. The Dodgers, they won the offseason. Not even close. Other winners, the Baltimore Orioles. I think they've had a tremendous offseason. They added Pete Alonso. They traded for Shane Baz. They added relief help in Ryan Helsley. Really good offseason for the Baltimore Orioles. And then the other winner, I got to hand it to the Boston Red Sox. Yeah, they lost Alex Bregman, but they traded for Wilson Contreras. They really beefed up their starting pitching depth. Sonny Gray, and then, of course, Ranger Suarez added to the rotation. Really good starting staff now. Probably top three to top five in all of Major League Baseball. The Red Sox look really good. The biggest losers right now, in no random order, but the San Diego Padres stick out like a sore thumb. Losers, they lost Dylan Cease. Yu Darvish is out for the year. They bring back Michael King, but the Padres roster is looking a little thin. And honestly, I'm not scared with them about them at all. The Padres, they look like they're in some deep trouble. Another big loser, in my opinion, and this is going to be a hot take, the Toronto Blue Jays. Your lineup is noticeably worse. You missed out on Kyle Tucker. You lost Bo Bichette, and you replaced Bo Bichette essentially with Okamoto, who is still a wild card at this point. You needed a closer. You didn't add a closer. You added some relief help, but their bullpen still is not very great. And then they overpaid for a guy like Dylan Cease, who I don't think is going to help them win a World Series. On top of that, Dylan Cease just happens to be Shohei Ohtani's bitch. Shohei Ohtani owns Dylan Cease. For Father's Day every year, Dylan Cease has to report to Shohei Ohtani and give him a gift because Ohtani is Dylan Cease's daddy. So the Blue Jays are also losers. And then the other loser, all things considered right now, I mean, the St. Louis Cardinals, at least right now, they look like huge losers. They literally are paying Nolan Arenado to go play for the Arizona Diamondbacks. They didn't get anything in return for Arenado, so they let him go to Arizona. They're completely accepting the fact that they're going to be a last-place team. They give Dustin May $12.5 million. Dustin May is probably their opening day starter. Any team that's going to roll out Dustin May as their de facto ace, you're in some deep shit. So the St. Louis Cardinals look terrible. They're trying to shop Brendan Donovan. They can't seem to get the deal they want in return for him. Nootbaar has been reported to be damaged goods as well. They're going to have to sell low on him. And then they gave away Sonny Gray to the Boston Red Sox. They got a couple prospects back, but they're also paying Sonny Gray to essentially play for the Boston Red Sox. And yes, Dustin May right now is the highest paid player on the active roster for the St. Louis Cardinals. I repeat, Dustin May is the highest paid player on the active St. Louis Cardinals roster. They're paying him $12.5 million. He's probably going to miss half the season because he'll end up on the IL or he'll eat a salad and be put on the 60-day. I don't like the move. I'm not a big Dustin May guy. The Cardinals, there's a good chance the Cardinals finish with the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. They're just that atrocious of a roster. Whew. Let's talk about the trades now. So there are some big trade rumors. Let's start with the good news. Ken Rosenthal put a pin in this, and this never made sense to me. So I'm very happy and relieved that Teoscar Hernandez is going to stay put with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Maybe the biggest win, besides obviously getting the bat of Kyle Tucker, is that we don't have to worry or deal with Teoscar Hernandez playing defense in right field for the Los Angeles Dodgers, hopefully ever again, because Teo was just putrid in right field. Oh, I saw some awful highlights, like a base hit in the playoffs get hit in Teo's way, and for whatever reason, he just jogs past that ball and let it roll the wall, and it turned into a triple. I think that was to JT Realmuto. Teo in right field, that was honestly terrorism, in my opinion. Like, we can't go. My health could not handle another year of Teoscar Hernandez in right field. Like, it was just bad. I think we can skate by with Teo in left field, but nonetheless, huge win keeping Teo in this Dodgers lineup. Yeah, he had a down season. Yes, the defense is awful, but there are great intangibles that Teoscar Hernandez brings to the Dodgers. It's no coincidence that they're now 2 for 2 in World Series championships since adding a guy like Teoscar Hernandez. Obviously, Shohei Otani gets all the credit because he's Otani, and more thoughts on Otani probably in a little bit. But Teoscar Hernandez is just a big-time player. I mean, the guy is clutch, and he shows up in October. Like last October for the Dodgers, for example, he had 5 home runs. He had 2 in the wild card round. He had 1 in each of the following series. The year before, he had also in a World Series championship year for the Dodgers, he had 3 home runs. He had 2 home runs against the San Diego Padres with 7 RBIs. In the World Series, he also had a home run with 4 RBIs. The guy just shows up in October. So I don't want to hear this whole Teoscar Hernandez is a lousy contract and they need to get rid of him. The Teo hate just is so unwarranted, in my opinion. Bashing him for the defense, completely fair game. He is an awful defender, one of the worst in Major League Baseball. He is essentially the equivalent of Juan Soto on defense. Like, there's no denying that. That's why he should not play right field, because he's an awful defender. There's just no business for Teo playing right field for a team like Los Angeles ever again. You go from Mookie Betts' defense, arguably one of the best right fielders of all time, to Teoscar Hernandez. That's a tremendous drop-off. But Teoscar Hernandez is a really, really good at-bat. Even in kind of a shaky season for the Dodgers, he still put up 25 home runs. He still put up 89 RBIs. And that's because the guy is damn good at driving in runners. You put the big stockpile of talent in front of him, like the Otanis, the Betts, the Freemans, the Smiths of the world. Teo's going to drive guys in. Just to pull up what his stats were like with runners in scoring position, because I'm a big believer and advocate of that. So he hit 247. Yes, I'm throwing out batting average. In general, he hit 247. But with runners in scoring position, Teoscar Hernandez hit 284 with an 830 OPS. 738 OPS normal in the season. With runners in scoring position, I just told you his OPS is 830, almost 100 points higher. The batting average is basically 45 points higher, 60 RBIs. He gets up for the big moments, and he delivers more often than not. You need guys like that for Teoscar Hernandez in the Dodgers lineup. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anymore. They need to trade Teoscar Hernandez. He is the perfect role, or he's not a role player. He's the perfect, just everyday guy. Ceiling wise, he's an all-star and a silver slugger. Floor wise, we just talked about it. Hits in the 240s, still drives in 89 guys. So he'll probably hit 6th, maybe 7th for the Dodgers this year. He's not batting 3rd. So we're talking about extreme length for the Dodgers. He also, not this past year, I guess, but historically, he does well against lefties. This season, he hit 250 against lefties, but last season, he hit 290 with a 931 OPS against left-handed pitching. So you need a right-handed bat like that. And just put it in this perspective. In 2023, our starting left fielder was David Peralta. You go from David Peralta to an all-star in Teoscar Hernandez. David Peralta was trash for the Dodgers. I don't know why people acted like he was okay, but a guy of David Peralta's caliber in that point in time in his career is simply unacceptable and what was clearly a punt 2023 year for the Dodgers. David Peralta hit 259 with a 675 OPS. Teoscar Hernandez clears this guy. So we should be grateful that we went from a guy who's not even in Major League Baseball. We had the Jason Haywards, the David Peraltas of the world, and we go to Teoscar Hernandez. I am ecstatic. I am elevated. I am relieved that we don't need to deal with that bullshit anymore. I can't do it. I can't do the Trace Thompsons. I can't do the David Peraltas. I can't do these 1-year flyers. I can't do Michael Conforto, goddammit. Like, no more of this bullshit of these 1 years, absolutely shitty players. So you go from Michael Conforto to Kyle Tucker. So, and we still won a World Series, even with Michael Conforto starting the entire regular season for us. So let's take a quick break real quick. FanDuel sponsors this show. For those that are preparing to watch football coming up, let's talk about a few props, though, real quick. Right now, the Dodgers are at plus 220 to win the 2026 World Series. So not great odds. The Dodgers are ultimate heavy favorites right now. Their regular season win total is 104.5. So you can take the over under. I tend to lean the under right now. I just feel like the Dodgers are going to have some injuries and they're not going to, put their full foot on the gas for a full 162 games. But that's just my opinion. That's a really high number as well. First game, I'll do the Rams and Bears game since that's the last, and it'll give the most amount of time for people that might be listening later on. So Rams minus 3.5 favorites right now. Give me the Rams. I think they're going to wipe the floor with the Chicago Bears. So high on the Rams. I think whether you want to take just the overall win, the money line minus 198 or the points 3.5, give me the Rams. Love that at minus 120. So let's talk about some trades now. The 40-man roster is full. That means the Dodgers are not done. They have to add Kyle Tucker. They have to make a spot open in order to add Kyle Tucker's services. So we talked about Teoscar Hernandez is not going anywhere. Ken Rosenthal put a pin in that. He confirmed that the Dodgers most likely are not going to trade Teoscar Hernandez. They're going to move him to left field. So what does that mean then? Here are my thoughts, and I absolutely agree with the rumors are right now. Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic is reporting that the Dodgers are shopping both Bobby Miller and Ryan Ward. Let's start with Ryan Ward. So here's the reality. Ryan Ward is never going to see a meaningful inning for the Los Angeles Dodgers ever in his major league career. He's just not. It's the sad reality. He has never debuted at the big league level. He is currently up there in age as well. He's 27, soon to be 28. He'll be 28 by the time opening day rolls around. Great hitter in AAA. He hit 36 home runs in Oklahoma City last season. I mean, the guy had an insane run. 34 home runs in 2024, 36 home runs in 2025. He had 122 RBIs in Oklahoma City last season, 937 OPS. But I just have a feeling that the Dodgers don't think his game is going to translate to the big league level. They are essentially holding him to Hunter Fiducia hostage status. And so I think it's time for Ward, and it's only right. He deserves to start for a team like the Tampa Bay Rays or the Chicago White Sox or the Pirates. Like it's only fair for a guy like Ward he's done literally everything he possibly can in AAA to get a shot at the big league level. And so I think he's probably going to get traded. Yeah, exactly. Like Craig Osterberg saying, traded for some younger prospects. Trade Ryan Ward for some 16-year-old in high school right now. Traded for an international guy that is born in Nicaragua or something like that, or Paraguay. But Ryan Ward's time with the Dodgers, I think, needs to come to a close. He's never going to see a meaningful inning because the three outfielders are going to be everyday guys. Like Teoscar Hernandez, Andy Pages, and Kyle Tucker. They're in the younger bunch per se. And so they're going to start probably 150 plus games for the Dodgers if healthy, especially a guy like Kyle Tucker, because he wants to rack up the stats over these next 2 years so that when he inevitably opts out, he gets that lucrative, massive payday, whatever that will be. So your bench is looking already full as well. Alex Call is your fourth outfielder. And then Hae-Sung Kim most likely will play some infield and outfield. So where does Ryan Ward fit? He doesn't really fit. So I think Ryan Ward's going to get traded. Now, in terms of Bobby Miller, ultimate change of scenery guy. We're talking about a guy that was a top pitching prospect for the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is a guy that started game 2 of the NLDS for the Los Angeles Dodgers during his rookie season in 2023, and the fall off has just been insane. 2 years ago in 2024, 8.52 ERA for the Dodgers, 6.97 FIP. That was over 13 starts. He was a disaster. Last season for the Dodgers, only appeared in 2 major league games, including one start where he got shelled by the Colorado Rockies, had a 12.60 ERA, a 7.34 FIP, a 2.6 WHIP. Things got so bad for Bobby Miller that they converted him to a relief pitcher down in Oklahoma City, and it still wasn't enough to salvage his season. He ultimately finished the AAA campaign. He threw about 91 innings, had a 5.86 ERA, a WHIP of over 1.5. Ultimate change of scenery guy right now. I have no idea what the Dodgers could even get for Bobby Miller. It won't be much, but Bobby Miller needs to go. Like, there's no point keeping him on this roster. I just don't think he's going to thrive for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So get him to an organization. They can try to figure out what went wrong for him, and they can go from there. But I do think for sure both Bobby Miller and Ryan Ward are probably not going to be on the Dodgers 40-man roster by the time opening day is here. Good question from Yang. I don't see how the Dodgers can keep both Will Smith and Dalton Rushing. Long term, it's a very fair question. Short term, I think they can absolutely make it work. So here's why. The strategy worked last season. It's you start Will Smith 2 days in a row, you rest him on the third day. You start Will Smith 2 days in a row, you rest him on the third day. Dalton Rushing is going to be that guy. So for putting that in perspective, how many games did Will Smith actually play last season for the Dodgers? Going to pull that up right now, and then I'll give you some quick math. So last season for the Dodgers, I know there were some injuries, obviously. Will Smith only played 110 games for the Los Angeles Dodgers. That means that Dalton Rushing, you can pretty much pencil him in for probably about 40 to 50 starts, because 2023 and 2024, here are the game totals. 126 games for Will Smith, 128 games for Will Smith, 110 games for Will Smith. So we're talking a range of probably 40 to 50 starts, give or take, for Dalton Rushing. So where do the other starts come into play? Freddie Freeman is no longer young. That's just the reality of the facts. Freddie Freeman is not going to play 162 games probably ever again in his career. Respected that he was an Ironman. I love the attitude, but we have to be real here. By the time we get to October baseball, Freddie Freeman will be 37 years old. And so I think for the Dodgers, and to keep Freddie Freeman relatively fresh in what's a very long season, especially a guy that's played now 16 major league seasons. In back-to-back seasons now, Freddie Freeman has played in 147 games for the Dodgers. Obviously, there were some ankle injuries, but yeah, he missed 15 games in each of the last 2 seasons. I expect that number to probably be about 15 to 20 yet again. So who's going to play first base in all of those games? It's got to be Dalton Rushing. So we're talking probably comfortably Dalton Rushing will be in at least 60 games for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, it's going to get a little bit dicey, though, if you need to rest both Will Smith and Freddie Freeman. So there's going to have to be a lot of game planning, I guess, to make this work. But I do think that they'll, be cautious of that, and they're going to want to optimize the rest. And I think a guy like Dalton Rushing, if you can get him in the lineup, 2 days in a row, that'll be great, especially for a groove. It sounds like that the vision of Dalton Rushing ever playing in the outfield for the Dodgers is temporarily squashed for now. But that would have been another avenue for Dalton Rushing to get some at-bats. But nonetheless, Rushing will get 50 to 60 starts this season. I have a good feeling. Long-term, though, yeah, it'll be interesting because that would feel like a wasted career for Rushing. But at least in 2026, that's the game plan with Rushing. And I think that's fair. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Take your guys' questions along the way. Let's see what else we've got. I don't see any other questions right now. But I wanted to kind of break down the Dodgers 40-man roster real quick. And then I'm going to throw out some predictions of how opening day is going to look like. So just going to retweet on the socials real quick, get some more people in here. And we'll continue to have fun with this thing. Okay. So let's just start off the top. Let's start off at the top of who's on the Dodgers 40-man roster and who could be the odd guys out. Anthony Banda. Put a hold on that. Ben Kasparius, another one. And then Edwin Diaz, he's good. Jack Dreyer, here to stay. Paul Cervesi, I think he's good for now. Tyler Glasnow, yep. Brusdar Graterol will start the season on the IL. Edgardo Henriquez, Kyle Hurt, likely to start in AAA. Will Knack, Landon Knack. Let's put a little marker on him as well. So Will Klein, safe. Landon Knack, put a marker on him. Ronan Kopp, Bobby Miller, that's your fourth one. Put a flag on him. River Ryan, Roki Sasaki, Tanner Scott, Emmett Sheehan, Blake Snell, Brock Stewart. He'll start the season on the IL. Gavin Stone probably will start the season on the IL. Blake Trinan, Alex Vesia, Justin Robleski, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So 4 pitchers right now we're flagging. Shohei Otani. You know the drill there. Dalton Rushing, Will Smith, Mookie Betts, Tommy Edman, Alex Freeland, Freddie Freeman, Andy Ibanez, who looks like he's wearing 77, Hye-Sung Kim, Max Muncy, Miguel Rojas. So all those infielders are safe. Alex Call, probably safe. Teoscar Hernandez, likely safe. Andy Pajes, Michael Ciani, flag. Ryan Ward, flag. So of the 40-man roster right now, there's 6 guys that I could see removed, traded, DFA'd by the time we get to opening day. So let me make the quick case for all these guys. Anthony Banda. He no longer has minor league options. He really struggled for the Dodgers last season. He was awful in the playoffs, a lot of inconsistencies. And I think the fact that the Dodgers just have a lot of lefties on their roster right now makes it a little bit of a head scratcher why they'd potentially carry 5 lefties in the bullpen. You've got Tanner Scott, you've got Alex Vesia, you've got Jack Dreyer, you've got Justin Robleski all ahead of him. Anthony Banda, probably an odd man out. Ben Kasparius really flourished in the first half, has really good stuff. But the reality is he's never going to be a major league starter for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he had a really bad decline in the second half. And I don't know if that's an indicator of what he's to be in the future. I'm still lost of what the real Ben Kasparius is. Is it more of a reflection of the first half Ben Kasparius, or is the second half Ben Kasparius the true candidate? Landon Knack, he could tactically start for the Dodgers in AAA. But, I mean, the guy is like nearly 30 now. He was terrible for the Dodgers last season, had an ERA close to 5. It just feels like the Landon Knack ship is sailing, and I feel like his time with the Dodgers has to be nearing a close. Bobby Miller, we already went into great detail about him. He needs to go. There's nothing to salvage for Bobby Miller right now. The time is ticking. We talked about Ryan Ward. We made the case why he needs to be traded. And then Michael Ciani, I don't know what the plan is for this guy, but is a guy like Ciani truly needed on the Dodgers 40-man roster? I don't think so. I mean, the guy's a career 221 hitter. Last season only had 17 major league at-bats. Hit 235. Career-wise, he's made 344 at-bats. But yeah, 221 hitter, just 2 home runs. 547 career OPS. So definitely some issues there. We got some more people tuning in, it looks like. Let's see what we've got in the comments, and then let's talk about what opening day is going to look like. Don't know if I see any questions. Just see a lot of comments going back and forth. But yeah, I like this from Uncle Ted. What's up, Uncle Ted? Thank you for tuning in. By the end of the year, Davelin will be an everyday starter, and Zach Root will debut this year. I don't know about that. Maybe in the minors, but great prospects. But I don't think they're going to debut for the Dodgers at the big league level this season. But yeah, we got some good prospect talk going on. Smash that like button. So, all things considered right now, I think I have a good idea what the Dodgers opening day 26-man roster would look like if healthy. So let's start with the position players. Now let's also roll we'll do the lineup as well. Leading off, designated hitter Shohei Otani. The Dodgers didn't add a leadoff guy. I don't think they're going to put Mookie Betts in the leadoff spot, unless he just has a torrid spring training, I guess. But I would guess that Shohei Otani leads off for the Dodgers once again because it's worked the last 2 seasons. The bottom of the order is going to need to step up, and more on that in a second. I would like to have Kyle Tucker hit second, but knowing how the Dodgers operate, I think Mookie Betts is going to hit second for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He'll be the shortstop. It's all said and done. Batting third, there seems to be some debating going on whether it's going to be Freddie Freeman or Kyle Tucker. Personally, I think Kyle Tucker should be hitting again ahead of Freddie Freeman. I mean, you just signed the guy to a $60 million a year contract, and Kyle Tucker is an insane on-base guy. I mean, so is Freddie Freeman. They both get on base about the 370 to 380 clip. But Kyle Tucker is significantly younger than Freeman. I mean, we're talking like 29 versus 36 right now. I think Kyle Tucker probably should hit third. Batting cleanup, I think Will Smith, your everyday catcher. Freddy Freeman, I've got him hitting fifth at first. Hitting sixth, my boy Teoscar Hernandez in left field. Batting seventh, Max Muncy at third base. So that just shows you right there how deep this Dodgers lineup is going to be when you've got Teoscar Hernandez hitting sixth and Max Muncy hitting seventh. I mean, you want to talk about a really lengthened out lineup? This is the definition of it. No easy outs, at least through the first 7. And then up for debate, but Tommy Edman will start at second base and Andy Paez will start in center field. So we got the 9 starters. We need to figure out the bench right now. So Alex Call on the bench. Dalton Rushing on the bench. Andy Ibanez on the bench. And I think that last spot will go to Hae-Sung Kim on the bench. So you've got one for sure outfielder. You've got one for sure infield. Oh, and I'm fucked up. Scratch that because Miguel Rojas is on the team. So wait a second. You've got the 9 starters and you only have room for 4 bench guys? Unless they go 5 bench guys. Well, that makes it a lot more interesting. So hold that thought. The locks are Miguel Rojas, Andy Ibanez, Dalton Rushing, and then it's up for debate whether they want to go with Hae-Sung Kim or Alex Call. But my guess is they would want to have that 4th outfielder, and so maybe Hae-Sung Kim will start the season in AAA. Okay, yeah, no, that's interesting because I forgot. I knew Andy Ibanez was on the roster, but I didn't do the math in my head, and now I'm like, okay, we have a dilemma here. So Miguel Rojas and Andy Ibanez, this is what's weird to me. They're essentially the same player. They're both right-handed bats that play all over the infield, and they're the same guy. So it's a little bit redundant that the Dodgers would want to have two right-handed infielders. So they must know something about Tommy Edman. That has to be the guess. Like, that has to be it. Like, Tommy Edman can't be healthy. Like, they wouldn't sign multiple infielders if there weren't some red flags about Tommy Edman. That is interesting to me, because when Max Muncy is facing a left-handed starter, Miguel Rojas would have been that platoon guy. But now you've got Andy Ibanez, who's in the mix as well. So it catches me off guard. There's got to be something going on with Tommy Edman. That is my guess. You have a very right-handed heavy bench, though. So that is what is just scratching my head right now, is you got Ibanez, Rojas, and Call, all right-handed bats. Dalton Rushing is your only left-handed bat, and he's your catcher emergency guy. So that actually has me perplexed. I feel like something's going on here where they need to have Hye-Sung Kim, the left-handed versatility, mixed into this lineup. Kike Hernandez is going to probably be re-signed, but he's going to be put on the 60-day IL right away, not even in the mix for the first half. So we got to figure this out. We've got to figure out, okay, who the heck is going to win that last job? I mean, Rojas is a lock. Ibanez has to be a lock. Otherwise, I don't know why they'd sign him. Kim has options. Call, I believe, has options. Rushing is on there because he's the catcher. You've got one bench spot. You also have Alex Freeland, who Uncle Ted is pointing out. I don't know. I literally do not know what they will do right now. I think if I were a betting man, Alex Freeland will have a better big league career than Hye-Sung Kim. So I don't know what the heck they're going to do, how to get these guys playing time. So let's talk about the pitchers in a second, but I do see some questions. So from Hepatitis, see you later. Do the Dodgers sign Kike during spring training and stash him on the 60-day IL just to have him around? Or do they wait mid-season when they're ready to cut Ibanez? Or has the ship sailed? I don't think it's even a question right now about bringing back Kike Hernandez. You want to sign him during spring training and have him on your roster so that he has full access and the abilities to work with the Dodgers medical staff, get into the rehab and training facilities, be a part of rehab assignments with the minor league guys. And I think during Dodgers homestands, I don't know if he would travel with the team, but I think at least during Dodger homestands, Kike Hernandez will be around that club. I mean, he's a great clubhouse energy. Just the spirit that he brings and the leadership. And Dave Roberts talked a lot about his growth over the last couple of years, from him being that goofy clubhouse guy to actually being a meaningful Dodgers leader. And Miguel Rojas really touched upon it during his really in-depth podcast interview with Chris Rose. That was like a week or two after the World Series. If you haven't listened to that one, highly recommended. But essentially when Miguel Rojas was down bad and he felt like he was going to be DFA'd or cut, Kike Hernandez was really that support system there for him. And they had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations after some tough games. And Kike basically kept Miguel Rojas' head straight. And obviously that worked out for the Dodgers because Miguel Rojas hit the infamous heroic Game 7 home run. Mike, why even imagine a lineup at this point? When's the last time the Dodgers put a lineup out there and didn't see half the team hurt by the All-Star break? Mike, I don't appreciate your negativity. We are here to talk about the positives right now, and I am giving the people what we expect to see out of the Dodgers. So, bad question. Next, let's see. Don't know if I see anything else. So, pitchers. We got the 13 hitters. The Dodgers are going to be able to roster 14 pitchers because Shohei Otani is the two-way guy. So 6 starters. I think the 6-man rotation is for sure a thing. Here are my 6, assuming health. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Otani, Emmett Sheehan, Roki Sasaki. There's your 6. Sasaki's not going to be in the bullpen. Sasaki will be a starter for the Dodgers. That's your 6. There will be injuries. Half of these guys will be on the IL by June. That's okay. We know going into the season, These should be the 6. That leaves 8 bullpen spots. Edwin Diaz is your closer. No questions about it. Edwin Diaz is the closer. He will get all 9th inning opportunities. Diaz is your closer. The key setup guy and the key guy to get out good left-handed hitters, whether it's in the 6th inning or the 8th inning. So if the Dodgers are facing Kyle Schwarber, or if the Dodgers are facing Juan Soto, or if the Dodgers are facing Jackson Merrill in high leverage, Tanner Scott is your guy. They're going to have him ready for those opportunities. Tanner Scott, I think, is going to have a huge bounce-back season. No doubt. Alex Vesia, also a lefty, serves exactly the same purpose as Tanner Scott, but nonetheless, you can lock him in. Blake Treinen was awful last season. I mean, he was awful, but he's still under contract, and he could have a bounce-back year. It's probably his last year for the Dodgers or all Major League Baseball in general. But Blake Treinen is on that roster, so that's 4. Jack Dreyer as a rookie was sensational. Again, another lefty, but he was damn good for the Dodgers, and dude was nailing high leverage. Jack Dreyer, number 5. Brusdar Graterol, just saying it right now, expected to start the season on the IL, leaving him off. Brock Stewart, probably starting the season on the IL, leaving him off. Number 6, a guy that really flourished in relief for the Dodgers, whether it was to give them length or it was just to get them a couple outs. Justin Robleski has taken his game to the next step. I expect Justin Robleski to be on the Dodgers opening day roster. Justin Robleski is really, really, really special and damn good. Okay, so that leaves us with 2 spots. This is where it may get a little subjective and inconsistent with what everyone's going to have across the board. But for me, what he did in Game 3, what he did for the Dodgers, warrants an immediate access pass to be on the Dodgers opening day roster. And I do think he's going to take his game to the next level. He showed lots of brilliant flashes, like I just referenced in Game 3. He was on this podcast. He gave the Dodgers 4 innings and extra innings. Will Klein, I think he's going to make the Dodgers opening day roster. And last but not least, a guy that's been a top prospect for the Dodgers before. He has actually pitched in the playoffs for the Dodgers the last 2 seasons. Edgardo Henriquez, I think he's going to start the season on the big league roster. Essentially serves like the Brusdar Graterol role. Throws 102 at times, filthy stuff. Edgardo Henriquez, welcome to the big leagues. That is my bullpen. So Graterol IL, Stewart IL, Kasperius AAA. Bonda, you got to trade him most likely. But yes, that is the roster. So we went through all 26, and we talked about who's going to be DFA'd. So let's run into some final thoughts now. Last call for questions. Smash that like button. Let's get to 6,000 subscribers. But yeah, get those questions in here as we roll out the show and close it out. So I want to talk about Shohei Otani real quick and why this guy is the ultimate game changer. Prior to Shohei Otani, the Dodgers did get big names. They've talked to the Bryce Harpers of the world. They got starters in here like Zach Greinke many years ago. They've traded and then immediately signed to an extension not long after Mookie Betts. Trevor Bauer came here. Freddie Freeman came here. And so the Dodgers built this framework by implementing a super strong, winning, resilient culture. The clubhouse, a lot of credit to Dave Roberts here for really building this, as well as Freeman and company. They built a system that players wanted to be a part of. Essentially a gravitational pull that was almost resistant. And then they punted in 2023, and then they made the signing that will forever change the Dodgers franchise forever. The moment they signed Shohei Otani, it wasn't that they just signed Shohei Otani. They untapped something that is basically impossible to impede. And this is where the Angels really blew it. They fucked up big time because they had Shohei Otani. And I'll never understand how a team with Shohei Otani, Albert Pujols, and Mike Trout failed to see the playoffs once. It's because Artie Moreno is a jackass. He has so much control that he really failed the vision to tap into what Otani brings to an organization. And the Dodgers, being as smart as they are, they knew what they had in Otani. They had the ultimate recruiter. This is the guy that can essentially bring in anybody. And so when you signed Otani, you didn't just sign Shohei Otani. Assuming that they were off for the money, which they did, it basically made it a layup to get Yoshinobu Yamamoto, because Yamamoto and Otani had such a strong relationship during their exhibition days in Japan. Also, just Otani is he's the perfect mentor for a guy that's new to the United States, because Otani went through this journey himself, being a Japanese immigrant to the Los Angeles Dodgers. So he brought over Yamamoto to ensure a very smooth transition. So you got Yamamoto. Not only that, I know it hasn't fully panned out yet, but pretty much the moment Otani signed with the Dodgers, Roki Sasaki was going to jump ship to the Dodgers as well. Like they wanted to bring this core together. But it's not only that. Now in more recent days, Kyle Tucker. It's convinced to me that Kyle Tucker never really wanted to go to Canada. The fact that he turned down 10 years, $350 million guaranteed to bet on himself for the short-term deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Kyle Tucker knows what he's getting into. He wants a championship. Blake Snell pitched for the Padres. He pitched for the Giants. He went to the World Series when it was Dodgers versus Yankees. Blake Snell told his agent, Scott Boras, get me to the freaking Dodgers. Do whatever it takes. Dodgers wanted his services as well. You bring in Blake Snell. You bring in Teoscar Hernandez, another guy that wanted to win, Silver Slugger with the Blue Jays, had all-star seasons, knew that the Dodgers was the right path to winning. And so this is not a one-man show. The Otani effect is massive, and of all professional sports right now, no team has a bigger advantage than those Los Angeles Dodgers, because you've got the best player in the world, and he has the best charisma as well, just drawing in talent that wants to play with Otani. So it's absolutely wild. So I'm not seeing any other questions, but appreciate everyone tuning in. Closing out the show. So some other final thoughts. No, the Dodgers are not ruining baseball. Right now, as things stand, they're actually spending less money than they currently were last season. I think it's like roughly $4 million, give or take. That's because, for example, Conforto off the books. Let's see what else. Conforto off the books. Kershaw off the books. Let's see, who else was it? Chris Taylor off the books. Kirby Yates off the books. So some bad contracts just completely off the books. I see. Get your question in there. Whoever's asking that, Roseman Carino, you got time? Get that question in real quick. But we're closing this out. A lot of Anthony Rendon talk still. We talked about Rendon earlier. I think maybe not, but he comes up a lot because of Justin. People owe Kyle Tucker apologies for comparing him to Anthony Rendon. I don't know why that stigma got out there, but I don't think I don't believe Kyle Tucker is the next Anthony Rendon. Ridiculous comparisons. People owe him apologies. But anyways, just seeing if any other Dodgers news has broke in the last hour, because that would have been funny if something went down and I completely missed it, but I'm not seeing anything. Looks like there aren't any other questions as well. Here we go. just in time from Roseman Carino. Do you think there will be a restructuring and revenue sharing for all the TV deals in the upcoming CBA? Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of changes. I don't think there will be a salary cap. I don't think there will be a salary floor. I think they're going to impose stricter, penalties if you violate the luxury tax thresholds. So I think that there will be some harder. I think there will be some penalties for losing more draft compensation. I also think they're going to crack down on the deferrals. I really do think they're going to, put a limit to an extent for the Dodgers and other teams that do the deferrals, because Shohei Otani deferring $680 million, like, that's just crazy. Perfectly legal, nothing wrong with it, but that's a crazy deferral. And then in terms of Astro fans, real quick, they're just some sour pussies. Like, you've got them saying that the Dodgers are ruining baseball because they spend money. The Houston Astros cheated. Oh, sorry, Yogi, I ignored your question. But we've talked about him a lot. Evan Phillips will for sure re-sign with the Dodgers during spring training. Don't worry. Evan Phillips will be back next month. He'll be on the IL. But Evan Phillips will be back. Not to worry. But anyways, Houston Astros fans, sour pussies. You cheated. You got off the hook. You got to keep that championship. No one acknowledges that it counts. You've got people online pretending like Kyle Tucker sucks now. Again, they are a pathetic fan base. Biggest bunch of losers out there. So screw the Houston Astros. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit that like button on your way out. And we'll be back with more Dodgers content. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Enjoy football. Peace out, everyone. Go Dodgers.